Tonight on Joy News Prime, Parliament's chamber shuts for 3 weeks due to surge in COVID-19 cases.
In consultation with leadership, decided that the sitting of the House be suspended for 3 weeks. The House will take a break as from tomorrow, Wednesday, 10th February 2021 to Tuesday, 2nd March 2021.
Lawyers for 2020 NDC presidential candidate John Mahama insists EC chairperson Jane Mensah must be held accountable through cross-examination.
It's important because there are many options open to us. If they say they are not relying on the witnesses, we can apply to the court for a subpoena to call the chairperson.
Also in this bulletin, 5 days after the shooting of a paramedic driving a woman in labor to hospital, the police say they are following up on leads. We'll hear from the pregnant woman who says the police has not contacted her yet.
They took everything we had and even disconnected the things in the ambulance and demanded money.
And business government aid to empower local vegetable farmers to avert looming shortage of tomatoes as importers embark on strike to protest violent highway robbery attacks.
When it comes to tomato production, Ghana is better placed to produce tomatoes than Burkina Faso. The ecological zone, the climate, and the resources that we have at our disposal.
My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Joy News Prime comes to you live from our studios in Kokomlemle on your digital address, on your digital terrestrial TV, because we're free to air on DSTV channel 421 and Go TV channel 144. Welcome to home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. Do stay tuned in. Many thanks for choosing us. Let's begin from the Supreme Court, because lawyers for the 2020 NDC presidential candidate John Dramani Mahama said EC chairperson Jane Mensah must be held accountable through cross-examination. They say as a public officer who supervised elections and served notice of testifying in court, she cannot back out at this stage. This follows lawyers for the EC informing the Supreme Court that the boss will not be called into the box. The 7 judges hearing the matter listened to legal arguments on this issue and set Thursday to rule on the matter. Court correspondent Joseph Akable has more.
Lead counsel for the Electoral Commission, Justin Amenuvo, had already indicated to the court that he will be making a request that the Electoral Commission chairperson is given the leeway not to enter the witness box to be cross-examined by lawyers for the petitioner. And he did justify that in his own view by insisting that the settled case law points to the fact that the Electoral Commission chairperson and any witness for that matter cannot be compelled to give evidence in any case.
Also, it's my submission that Rule 3E, all the provisions are quite very clear, and my learned friends putting one interpretation on it on one day and another interpretation on it on another day is most unfortunate. Respectfully submitted.
Mr. Kotompa, who represents President Akufo-Addo's team, agreed with this view and advanced arguments to back the view on why they also have the right not to call Peter McMenu into the box to be cross-examined.
Society of Lloyds versus Sir William Otho Jeffrey BT 2000 EWAC Commercial 51, where the issue of a party failing or refusing to give evidence after a witness statement had been served on other parties in the suit arose, and a prayer was made for the witness to be compelled to enter the box. The court held as follows. Where a party, after serving a statement of its witness on the opposing party in accordance with pre-trial directions, decided not to call that witness to give evidence, the court had no power to order that party to call its witness to give evidence in court. Unquote.
Lead counsel for President Mahama Chachuchikata, however, disagreed.
Shall call is mandatory, the last time I checked in the law books. And my lords, I'm sorry.
Lie, as you read.
Yes, but my lords, as that now, nobody has said we don't intend to rely on the witness statement. Nowhere has it been stated. All they have said is that we are not doing. My lord, that is the reality. I mean, however much grumbling goes on the other side, my lord, this is important because there are many options open to us. If they say they are not relying on the witness, we can apply to the court for a subpoena to call the chairperson. For instance, we can apply to the court. Yes, because
I thought it is implied.
My lord, the only reason why we did not take that course is, of course, because she is acting on behalf of the first respondent.
The court adjourned proceedings to Thursday to deliver its ruling. The two legal teams disagree on the quality of the arguments that have been advanced by their respective sides.
It's curious that the petitioner, on whom the burden of proof lies, wants the Electoral Commissioner to mount the witness box in order for him to use the Electoral Commissioner to prove its case. This is not heard of, and our application today was firmly grounded in law. Lawyers, when we go to court, decide the strategy we want to take. We, as counsel for the second respondent, decided to take this course of action.
There is evidence on record showing that she had elected to give evidence and to be cross-examined on the witness statement that she has filed. Now, we will not go into the merits or demerits of what she has filed because the court is yet to give its ruling on that on Thursday. But suffice it to say that the reason why we are insisting that she be allowed to testify is simply because, my brothers and sisters, this is not a debt collection case. We are not here dealing with a private matter, the private interests of private litigants. We are here dealing with the public interest. We are here dealing with the declaration of the results that reflected or is supposed to have reflected the sovereign will of the people of this country.
On Thursday, the issue for determination will be whether or not an individual who has filed a witness statement and indicated to the court that he intends to testify can change his or her mind and decide not to testify any longer and be subjected to cross-examination. Reporting for Joy News from the Supreme Court, my name is Joseph Akable.
Let's now talk about this deadly pandemic called COVID-19. 482 more people have died from COVID-19. This was after 10 new deaths were reported by the Ghana Health Service in the latest data capturing events of February 6, 2021. There were 675 new cases on the day, sending the country's active cases to 6,938. There are 111 people suffering severe COVID-19 symptoms, with 29 people said to be in a critical state. And senior high schools in 5 regions have recorded positive cases of COVID-19. 23 schools in the Greater Accra region have recorded a total of 56 cases. That's according to Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Patrick Kumar-Boaje. Speaking during a Ministry of Information press briefing, he stated although the cases raised concerns about adherence to safety protocols, they were expected.
High, but it's comparatively, I wouldn't say it's an alarming number. That is because this was expected. It was expected in the first 3 to 4 weeks. Because people are going to move from home to school, you're going to have some cases, as happened in the previous exercises. But over time, we are hoping that with the tightening of restrictions, adherence to protocols, we will actually get it better. We've had upper senior secondary school outbreaks in Upper West, Western, Greater Accra, and Eastern region. 23 schools in Greater Accra have so far reported 56 cases and no fatality. And I must show that parents have duly been informed. So if I come to that, we can look at the spread of the schools that are, then we have averagely 23 cases and total recovery 0 among others. But you can see that we also have some suspected cases of about 166 that we are still following up to see. And we have some staff also affected in the schools. Central region has also reported, okay, let me talk first about the Akosombo one. As at 28th of January, a total of 500, in the Akosombo International one, that has always been in the media. As at we had done a total of 553 samples have been tested, with 82 of them being positive. Students were 73 and 9 staff were positive. A total of samples have also been collected and tested with 13 confirmed positive. That's after the 31st. And so that brings the total number tested to about 600. That's almost the entire school has been tested. This was a result of a positive case at home that they decided to do a test. The Greater Accra, the national and the regional team has visited the school, done our assessment, given our recommendations on how to improve the social distancing among others protocol to cut down spreads. And so all of them are well and isolated, and those who are close contacts are still being observed so that we can contain the spread. Central region and the whole region has reported 8 cases from about 7 or so schools. 2 of them have already recovered, so they have 6 active cases among the schools in Central region.
Dr. Patrick Kumabuaji says a survey conducted by the Ghana Health Service in 43 communities in the Greater Accra region revealed the percentage of people wearing the face mask has increased from 42 to 47%.
So in conclusion, the wearing of masks already has increased from 42 to 47. Those not wearing masks at all decreased from 26 to 29. Base mask wearing is generally better in the morning than in the afternoon. And this applies to both adults and children. 55% of children wore masks correctly in the morning, and it dropped to 29.5% during the late afternoon. 51% of adults who wore masks correctly in the morning dropped to 43% late in the afternoon. So it looks like the afternoon is something we need to really make an effort to ensure that people keep their mask on in the afternoon. And also increase generally, even the morning one. Generally, correct wearing of the mask has seen an improvement in some communities that we visited. For example, in the previous survey, University of Ghana main entrance, we had 78% of the people who observed found to be wearing their face mask correctly, compared to 84% in the latest survey. Another example is the Nima, where nearly 70% of people were not observed wearing the face mask at all. In the previous survey, declined to 67%. And so there's an appreciable increase in the adherence to the protocols.
In Parliament, Speaker Alban Bagman has announced suspension of Parliament for 3 weeks over surge in COVID-19 cases. The suspension of the House takes effect from tomorrow, February 10, 2021 to March 2, 2021. Initial testing at the House of Legislature showed that 15 of the MPs are tested positive for the virus. 2 more MPs have tested positive for the virus, bringing the number to 17, whilst over 150 parliamentary staffs have tested positive. However, the Appointments Committee of Parliament will commence consideration of President Akufo-Addo's nominees as scheduled. The Speaker observed that fumigation exercise will be conducted within offices of MPs and staff of Parliament during the break.
Honourable members, having regard to the upsurge of the coronavirus infection in the House, now reading 17 members of Parliament and 151 staff and ancillary workers in the presence of Parliament, and the fact that the Appointments Committee is yet to commence consideration of His Excellency the President's ministerial nominees, I have, in consultation with leadership, decided that the sitting of the House be suspended for 3 weeks. It is hoped that within this period of adjournment, the Appointments Committee will commence consideration and public hearing of the President's nominee for ministerial appointments. By the end of the 3 weeks, the Appointments Committee would have submitted reports on the referral for the consideration of the House. Accordingly, with the exception of honourable members of the Appointments Committee, the clerk to the committee, and other supporting staff who will be engaged in the task of considering the President's nominees for ministerial appointments, the House will take a break as from tomorrow, Wednesday, 10th February 2021, to Tuesday, 2nd March 2021. During that period, honourable members are to comply with the strict COVID-19 protocols and regulations. Members and staff should also resubmit themselves to the Parliament Medical Centre for retesting after 2 weeks from tomorrow to ascertain their status before the assumption of the House. Meanwhile, Parliament will continue with the weekly disinfection and sanitization of the premises and presence of Parliament.
Some members of Parliament have welcomed the decision.
Well, I think it's long overdue. Some of us have been agitating for this action to be taken. But be it as it may, I think that it's a right call. The very day it was detected that some members were infected, I thought that should have been the very first day we needed to have taken a decision such as we have taken. We use the same lift. We don't have specific lift used by members of Parliament. We use virtually the same washroom. Some of them are secretaries to MPs, I guess. Some may be clerks of Parliament. And if a decision is not taken to suspend this House, we may have almost everybody being infected. And I think for me, it's a right call, even though this call should have come earlier than now.
I think it's a step in the right direction. Not much is being done now. Appointment committee sitting starts tomorrow. Virtually takes the leadership of Parliament. And the business of the House is run by us, but with leadership and Speaker forming the business committee. And the Speaker always take cue from them. And so the next 2-3 weeks, none much will be done by the plenary, except for the appointments committee. So I see the decision by the Speaker, to get the August House to suspend, to be able to break the cycle of transmission, because the numbers that he quoted were huge.
It's not that we are going on holidays, though that we need to advocate and also make sure in our constituencies also adhere with the protocol regarding the second wave. So that is where we are now today in Parliament. Yes, I'm in support of the decision.
because I'm also thinking of my colleagues who have been affected, and we cannot serve at the same time in this situation when the second wave is becoming higher than before.
Immunologist at the West Africa Center for Cell Biology and Infectious Pathogens at the University of Ghana, Dr. Abediako, has warned Ghana should be worried about the rapid spread of coronavirus in the communities because of the cascading effect it could have on school children and the schools. Ghana's current 7 days positivity rate, according to Dr. Bediako, stands at 25.3%, way above the WHO threshold standard of below 5%. Speaking on the Super Morning Show with Kojo Yankson, he said it can't be said that Ghana is properly managing the pandemic. Listen.
My frustration in listening to a lot of the coverage over the last few weeks is everybody is focusing on schools. But schools, yes, I have 2 daughters. I fully understand why everybody is concerned. Should I send all my classmates from high school keep calling me up, asking me, should I send my kid to school? And it's an uncomfortable situation to be put in because you're making me responsible for the safety of your child. But I get why we are worried. But actually, we should be more worried about what is happening in the community, because schools are a subset. Like I said, in the US, when they opened schools, numbers went up. But even when they went up, from 3% to 12% of cases, that was still only 12% of cases. 80-something% were not in school, right? So the fact that we have this surge is much, the dialogue, I wish, would focus more on how are we going to get COVID under control in Ghana, because COVID is not under control in Ghana. I mean, if you look at our recent numbers, I just pulled a few of them up. Our 7-day positivity is 25.3%. That means all tests done over the past 7 days, a quarter of them have been positive. Now, the standard that has been set, basically, if your outbreak is under control, it should be below 5%. So less than 5% of the tests you do should be positive. At that point, transmission is dropping. We are 25%.
That's 500% of what it should be.
Exactly. Our doubling time of active cases is now 4 days. So every 4 days, the number of active cases is doubling.
Away from COVID-19, Chairman of Parliament's Appointments Committee, Jose Usu, has described as funny most of the petitions against the approval of President Akufo-Addo's ministerial nominees. He argued that most of the petitions are personal instead of performance or the conduct of the nominees. The ministerial nominees are scheduled to appear before the committee tomorrow. But even before they do, some citizens, including CSOs, have petitioned the committee to block the approval of the nominees, including Dan Boche, Hawa Kumsin, Ken Oforiatta, among others. Speaking exclusively to Joy News, the MP says the petition against Dan Boche does not allege specific misconduct. He spoke exclusively to my colleague, Kwesi Parker-Wilson.
A 26-member committee, we will take nominees one after the other, and we will ask them questions relating to their CV and other matters, areas they have worked before and experiences. And this time there's quite a large amount of petitions coming to the committee. So we'll relate to them. Many of them truly are personal scores.
The personal scores? The petition?
Yes.
Which one?
General,
which ones of them?
General, we are investors with Men's Gold. The Attorney General did not help us to prosecute Men's Gold, so don't approve it. Petitions of such nature, and none, so far there's none that I've read that is alleging wrongdoing on any particular nominee. That the nominee did A, B, C, or D. Either the implementation of a government policy or an expectation that a particular nominee ought to have done something for him or his group which was not done. The basis of the petition.
Well, I've cited a few of the petition myself.
Which one?
The one against the approval of Dan Boche and also Mavis Hawa Kumsin. And the issue about Honorable High Commission is about, firing gunshots in public to disrupt an electoral process as a minister.
That is not the allegation. You are adding the electoral process. I've read the petition. And we will investigate the circumstances under which the minister fired, whether it was intended to harm anybody, whether it was in self-defense. But you know, we'll be careful not to interfere with investigations which the police are already holding. But as much as possible, we will not take any petition on its face value. The circumstances leading to the acts complained about, whether the act itself is a crime, whether the particular minister has abused his office or his citizenship responsibility. Those are the things.
So do I get understanding that most of the petitions you received so far, in a way, do not merit your attention as a committee, as a chair of the committee?
Is that understanding? They don't merit our attention, but they are not petitions going to like misconduct. They are not alleging specific misconduct on the part of the candidate. They are not alleging that the candidates do not qualify under the Constitution. These are the critical things that we look at. Our job is to be sure that the person qualifies under the Constitution and he has not misconducted himself in the public space or even his private life, which impinges on his integrity. These are the things that we'll consider. As to how I speak, whether that influences you or not is personal to you. As to how I implement my role, how that impacted on you, it's a question of policy implementation. Those are not the ones we are going to consider.
So for the purpose of clarity, did I get a sense that on the issue of Madam Howard Commission, you are going to investigate the conduct, or you said you wouldn't interfere with investigation going on? I want the clarity for that, sir.
The allegation that is coming before us,
right,
that we will interrogate.
Still to come in this bulletin, 5 days after the shooting of a paramedic driving a woman in labor to hospital, the police say they are following up on leads. We'll hear from the pregnant woman who says the police has not contacted her yet.
They took everything we had and even disconnected the things in the ambulance and demanded money.
And business governments urged to empower local vegetable farmers to avert looming shortage of tomatoes as importers embark on strike to protest violent highway robbery attacks.
When it comes to tomato production, Ghana is better placed to produce tomatoes than Burkina Faso. The ecological zone, the climate, and the resources that we have at our disposal.
Business with Gifty and up here shortly.
Hello there, you're welcome to the business segment here on Joy News Prime. I am Gifty Ando Apia. In this edition, Ghana is better placed to produce tomatoes than Burkina Faso. Well, that's according to the General Secretary of the General Agricultural Workers Union, Edward Kariwe. He believes that the current importation of vegetables like tomatoes undermines government's much-touted Planting for Food and Jobs program. His concerns come on the back of an ongoing strike by importers and transporters of tomatoes, which has caused a shortage of the vegetable at some markets in the Ashanti region. The importers embarked on the industrial action, protesting violent highway robbery attacks on the Kumasi-Bolgatanga, Burkina Faso route. Mr. Kariwe spoke earlier on Business Live.
When it comes to tomato production, Ghana is better placed to produce tomatoes than Burkina Faso. The ecological zone, the climate, and the resources that we have at our disposal makes Ghana a better place to produce the tomatoes that we need to feed ourselves and possibly even export it to Burkina Faso and other countries. So the news has come as very, very disturbing and unacceptable.
I've been speaking to people. I've been trying to find out what it is about the tomatoes from Burkina Faso that, traders go there for that we don't have here in Ghana. What do you hear on your side? Because I hear it's, I don't know whether it's more nutritious or it's more healthy. I don't know. Maybe you can tell us.
Well, when it comes to tomatoes, just like any other crop or fruits, there are different varieties. We have some tomatoes that they have a lot of water. Some also have a lot of puree, in it. Some too have different shapes, and different designs. And this would meet different taste choices and so on. But the tomatoes that we are saying it comes from Burkina Faso, that tomatoes was also produced here in Navrongo, in the Upper East, and so on for many years. It's said that it can withstand a long period before getting rotten. So that is the type of it. And because we have almost virtually stopped producing tomatoes, particularly in the northern part of the country.
But why?
Particularly around. That has been occasioned by many years of failure to purchase the tomatoes from our producers. Many farmers have actually virtually become bankrupt, and they run out of tomato production. This year, for instance, there are many reasons why people refuse to go into tomato production. One has to do with the fact that there's no market for tomato when they produce it.
Edward Kariwa there speaking to my colleague Daryl earlier on Business Live. Now, Cocoa Board has refuted claims that some licensed buying companies have not been paid since November for the supply of cocoa beans. According to the cocoa regulator, even though there has been some delays in payments, it will be withdrawing some $190 million from the Bank of Ghana to settle the debt by the end of this week. Responding to questions at the Meet the Press series organized by the Ministry of Information, the head of public affairs at the Cocoa Board, Fifi Boafo, said despite these delays, it is very critical to promote local consumption of chocolate to boost the economy.
Was about the cost of chocolate being expensive. Well, we are talking about made in Ghana chocolate. If you compare made in Ghana chocolate and chocolate from elsewhere, I do not think that made in Ghana chocolate is expensive. But what I say is that, for example, if we increase consumption, our companies will be able to process more. When they process more, cost of manufacturing or cost of processing will come down. That will force price down. So this is part of the process where we'll be able to bring the price down and we all can consume chocolate. But for example, if you look at a bottle of a cocoa powder compared to other products, I do not think that the price is that high. But of course, when we are able to increase consumption and the companies are able to process more, definitely will have an effect on the price. On the issue about delay in payment to licensed buying companies, we've answered this question and we're not expecting to have this conversation take precedence over the national activity, that's the National Chocolate Day. I would like to state that if anyone tells you that we've not paid farmers or licensed buying companies since November, that is untrue. That is not the case because Cocoa Board has already drawn down about 1.1 billion, which about 92% of it, plus money sourced from Bank of Ghana, have been used to pay licensed buying companies. We admit there's been some delay, and the expectation is that this very week we'll draw down the remaining $190 million, which we'll use to service the remaining amount of money we are supposed to pay to license buying companies. But that does not mean that because there is a delay, we cannot continue to promote the consumption of chocolates locally and also boost our economy.
As the Cocoa Board's Fifi Boafo, they're ending business for this hour. We're back after 8 p.m. with more, and Oreku Ampofo is standing by with sports. My name is Gifty Andopia.
Hello, good evening and welcome to the sports here on Joy News Prime with me, Oreku Ampofo. We start off with some boxing, where father of world champion Isaac Dogbe has urged his son to reach for excellence now that he is on his own. The former WBO bantamweight champion recently revealed he is no longer managed by his father, and there is more in the following report.
Speaking to Joy Sports, Paul Dogbe, who guided his son to world title success in the year 2018, says the 26-year-old has a good foundation to help him to bigger success.
Listen, I done my part. You know, the kid has a good foundation, so he has to take off from where daddy left off and go to the next level. You know, I wish him all the best. I give him God's blessings, you know, and everybody that comes across him should help him, you know, and he has to make it, you know, because the foundation is good. He has to make it. There's no cause for no alarm. You know, he has to have a tunnel vision focus, like always, and make it happen. It is what it is.
As a self-managed boxer, Isaac Dogbe, the Royal Storm, will be responsible for negotiating his own fights directly with Top Rank Promotions, his promoters. The former champion is meanwhile back in the US working on his next fight, which will be announced soon.
Still talking boxing, General Secretary of the Ghana Boxing Authority, Patrick Johnson, is hoping 2021 would serve as a good year for the sport. According to him, plans of the federations were thwarted by COVID-19, but he is hopeful their efforts to grow the sport will not be derailed by the pandemic.
Boxing is trying as much as possible to come back, you know, and we're also hoping COVID will just leave us and then we bounce back to our normal, duties. In last year, December, Ghana Boxing Authority had 4 shows in a month, which it has never happened before. We had a program on the 17th, a show on the 17th, on the 23rd, on the 24th, and on the 26th, which it was so good for our boxers. And this year, we also hoping that it will continue the same way, because most of the promoters have seen that, yes, in December, a lot of promoters came on board, so they can also start, you know, doing promotions. So those promotions has requested for us to sanction a fight for him on the 13th February. Alex will be doing a show, box office, on the 6th March, and Fight Box will also be doing a fight on the 7th March. So we're hoping this year they will continue with the shows. I mean, the way we want it to go, so that boxers will also bounce back, so that those ring rats here and there will just, go up. Then our boxers will get international, programs as well. So this year, GB is trying as much as possible to do more. And also, we're going to seek for sponsorship for our boxing league, for our juveniles, amateurs, and then the professionals. So hopefully, by next month, we'll be getting our sponsorship from GMPC to enable us, you know, set the ball rolling.
Before we go, the latest in the FA Cup action is Manchester United and West Ham, and they are both playing to a goalless draw. We're bringing you more updates on that match, as well as more trending stories in sports when the second belt comes your way. My name is Oreku Ampofo. That's the sports for now. We'll be back after this break to bring you the latest in showbiz.
Hello, everyone. Hello to you, Aisha. How you doing?
I'm good, Becky.
So,
good to see you.
Good to see you too. Let's talk about Guru. Guru has been in the news since yesterday for a lot of things.
Okay.
So he's been reacting to all the things that has been going on. So apparently he asked for collaboration from Kwame Eugene and was denied. and they've been going back and forth on social media. So today on Hit FM, on Daybreak Hit with Angie Dusty, Guru is saying that he's never begged for a collaboration, and also he's never disrespected Links Entertainment boss, Richie.
What's up?
Have you disrespected his boss?
How can I disrespect Richie? How can I disrespect? For what reason?
Okay, but you've made certain comments alluding to Richie's involvement in your loss or losses at the VGMAs. I remember the other time when you came here, you even mentioned, could this not be the reason?
I will never debunk the statement I made about whatever I said. Imagine, Chairman, imagine if I'm to collaborate with an artist. It has got so many attached. Emma, the fans out there realize the sort of build-up we're trying to build. But it's not automatically said to make a hit too. Because I quite remember Eugene did a song with Davido. Was it a hit? No.
Okay, so Richie has made a statement on his page. I don't know if you've seen it. If you've not, let me read it. Now, Richie says, I normally stay quiet in most situations, but this time I only feel it's right I say something. Guru asked Links for a feature with either Kiddy or Kwame Eugene, but the request was denied. He then went from one media house to another, insulting myself and other members of Links management, even to the extent of accusing us of sabotaging his career for the past 10 years. He spun stories. He spun stories which implied we have some extreme power in the industry to vitiate someone's career.
This collaboration thing was 2 years ago, 3 years ago, at the very beginning of the introduction of Kiddy and Eugene. Were there any comments made about Links Entertainment or Richie? These comments were just raised just last year. These comments were raised around November. This collaboration thing was about 2 years ago. So, imbalance you.
Guru, and
he's trying to just explain what actually happened. He said that the collaboration he asked for that collaboration 2 years ago.
Okay.
And so he just didn't understand why Links will be behaving the way they are behaving. But he also debunked that he's never disrespected Richie in any way, and all the things that he said about people sabotaging him is true.
You should just let it go. I mean,
I'm not sure that this is ending anytime soon. Let's move away from that. Let's talk about loud music. So there's this gospel musician, Steve Boat. He says that he thinks that gospel musicians can always come up with love songs. It's not just the secular musicians. So he's out with a love song, and he's explained the reason why he decided to talk
about love.
Yeah, as a gospel musician.
That's it for Showbiz. Thank you so much, Becky, for bringing us Showbiz.
They took everything we had and even disconnected the things in the ambulance and demanded money.
That is an inconsolable Priscilla Otibu, the then pregnant woman who was on board the ambulance that came under attack last Thursday by highway robbers. It was an attack that began after midnight and lasted 4 hours at a remote part of Aseseso Edukrum Road, during which the robbers shot and killed an ambulance service personnel, Abraham Tete Homeku. The emergency ambulance team was conveying Priscilla from the Akuse Government Hospital to the Eastern Regional Hospital in Koforidua after suffering complications in labor. She tells Joy News 9 armed robbers accosted them in the middle of the journey and opened fire at them.
They took everything we had and even disconnected the things in the ambulance and demanded money. There were about 9 young boys. They took everything we had and disconnected the things in the ambulance and demanded money. There were about 9 young boys. We were held at gunpoint from about 1 a.m. to 4 a.m. They took my phone, which had 1,700 CDs on it. They took everything, including my mobile money pin. I started shouting, but the nurse urged me to keep quiet, otherwise they will shoot me. When I went to the hospital today, they didn't tell me the driver had died. I was told yesterday, and when I heard it, I fainted. If not for me, someone's child wouldn't have died like this. The death of the driver is what even hurts me the most. I think it's all my fault. If not for me, nothing like this would have happened to him.
Meanwhile, acting public relations officer for the Eastern Region Police, Francis Gomado, says they are yet to contact the woman. The minority in Parliament is demanding the immediate dissolution of Parliament.
Arrest has been made. But yesterday, there was a team of policemen led by ASP Danso, who is the Educom district officer, to the enclave where the incident happened. So they went and combed the place in search of these alleged robbers. But unfortunately, all the places that are noted to be a settlement for the Fulanis, they all vacated the area. The areas leaving their animals alone. So we are still picking some intelligence, and we hope and pray that we should be able to get some people arrested in connection with this heinous crime. So investigations are ongoing, but just that we've not made any arrests yet. In terms of lead, yes, we are following a lead. But you know, lead in itself is not concrete. Are you getting me? Will lead to positive results. Some will actually lead to nothing. You understand? But all the information available to us now, in terms of description and some pieces of information that we are picking, we are moving on them. And we are only hoping and praying that we should be able to make any road. Well, actually, you know, any victim of robbery will be taken care of in a certain way. So those who actually suffer some torture or what have you, assault, whatever, they have been given medical forms to attend hospital, and that is how far we've gone.
The minority in Parliament is demanding the immediate dissolution of government technical team on COVID-19. According to opposition MPs, the surge in cases associated with the high mortality rate is as a result of the poor handling of the virus by the technical team. Addressing a press conference Tuesday, minority spokesperson on health Minta Akando also alleged that the formation of the technical committee was purely based on partisan lines, insisting the recomposition of the technical team will be the first step in decisively dealing with the rise of COVID-19 cases.
The political nature of the team, that is why I think that that team must be dissolved. But it is basically our session is based on competence, because if they had looked beyond their political spectacles, I think that they could have identified more competent people to handle this particular issue. And you all bear with me, there's nothing we are saying today on COVID that we haven't said before. All of you here will bear with us. But it is because of the political spectacles they are putting on, that is why we are where we are at the moment. At some point in time, even when we are saying that cases were rising, some of them, come out to say that we were lying. You understand? So I think that they are incompetent and therefore it must be dissolved to get more competent hands to handle the situation. And then the issue about lockdown. Well, if we put the necessary measures in place, I don't think that at this point in time we should be calling for a total lockdown. You understand? But if we are talking the walk all the time and we are not walking the talk, okay? For example, government gives directives to schools to be reopened, and then you get to the schools, especially on the first days, there's absolutely no PPEs at any of the government schools. You are virtually spreading the virus because it takes a second to be infected with the virus. You know, as I speak to you now, if you go to most of the constituencies, some of the basic schools are without a thermometer. Thermometers are not distributed as part of the PPEs.
The NDC caucus in Parliament is demanding the immediate withdrawal of armed military men detailed to protect some ministers and constitutional bodies under the Akufo-Addo administration. Leader of the caucus, Haruna Idris, cited instances where military men have been captured holding bags and files of government appointees and charged President Akufo-Addo to adequately resource the police service to ensure they carry out their mandate effectively, including providing security for government appointees.
We are demanding that President Nana Akufo-Addo, the Commander-in-Chief of the Ghana Armed Forces, take immediate and necessary steps to demilitarize Ghana and to allow the Ghana police to play its proper and constitutional role of maintaining order, where necessary to collaborate with the Ghana Armed Forces. But we find it very despicable that men and women in uniform, particularly in the Ghana Armed Forces, will now be reduced to holding bags of key public officials. That is not the Ghana Armed Forces we know. We want him to restore the dignity, the honor, and the respect of the Ghana Armed Forces. They should intervene on matters of maintaining law and order. We are with him in maintaining the safety and security of all Ghanaians at all times. But it's becoming a matter of sight nuisance, seeing arm-wielding men of the Ghana Armed Forces all over, even chief executive officers, are guarded or followed by men in military uniform. That is not right. That is not right. So we are urging him as Commander-in-Chief of the Ghana Armed Forces, if that is to accept that the Ghana Police Service have become weaker, we are calling for necessary reforms of the Ghana Police Service to strengthen them as being responsible for the maintenance of law and order. The Constitution defines an elaborate role for the military and the Ghana Armed Forces. Territorial integrity.
In the wake of armed robbery cases across the country, the minority leader has also asked the police to make public statistics on the crime rates in the country.
The Ghana Police Service, since 2017-2018, we have not seen that happen. I appreciate the work which has been done by our honorable ranking member, the Honorable Agaga. Crime statistics, we need it. What is the level of crime in Ghana? Armed robbery, rape, incest, all that. It guides us as a country to know how we deal with matters of recidivism and others.
And still on the NDC tonight, the party has suspended the membership of its former Deputy General Secretary Kukwanyido with immediate effect. This comes after 2 members of the party petitioned the national leadership over the conduct of Mr. Anyido, which is described as a breach of the disciplinary code of the party. Kukwanyido has in recent times publicly criticized the NDC. Tonight, in a letter signed by his former boss, Johnson Asiedu Nketia, the functional executive committee of the party has suspended his membership pending a determination by the disciplinary committee. My colleague Manuel Cranting has a copy of the letter and joins me with details via Zoom. Manuel Cranting, what more is the statement saying about the suspension?
Yes, so Aisha, we are learning that 2 members of the party, Mr. Mubarak Abdul Karim, he's OT Regional Communications Officer of the party, and then one Mr. Eric AJ, he's Bono Regional Deputy Communications Officer of the NDC. These 2 persons have petitioned the Functional Executive Committee of the NDC, accusing Mr. Kukwanyido of what they describe as anti-party conduct. And we're told that this is in breach of Articles 46.1, 46.6, and 46.8b of the NDC's constitution. And so the Functional Executive Committee held a meeting on 20th January last month and considered those two separate petitions. And its outcome are that with immediate effect, the membership of Mr. Kukwanyido, who has been suspended, and the petitions have been referred to the party's disciplinary committee for further action. And you remember, Aisha, that Mr. Kukwanyido has in recent times been publicly criticizing the NDC, both on social media and then on radio platforms that he appears on. And for instance, 6 days ago, he tweeted, "We shall rebuild the NDC." He also tweeted 6 days ago that because I refuse to make a clown of myself, they say I am a traitor. God forbid that I become a clown in court because of petty partisan politics. And that's what is on his Twitter. And these are some of the comments that he's been making on social media. I've been speaking to the party's National Communications Officer, Mr. Sami Jemfi, who discounts the claim that he's actually being suspended because of his open criticism of the party. He makes a point that this is only being done because 2 other bona fide members of the party have found reason to petition the Functional Executive Committee. And in line with the constitution of the party, this is just one of the processes that have to be undertaken to ensure that a resolution is arrived on the matter. The letter, which is addressed to Kukwanyido and signed by Honorable Johnson Asiedu Nketia, who is General Secretary of the party, wraps up by saying that it is our hope that you will cooperate with the disciplinary committee for an expeditious determination of this case. So 2 outcomes: it's either he's found guilty and then sanctioned, or he will be, as it were, discharged of all the allegations that have been leveled against him.
So all of this pending a decision or determination by the disciplinary committee, I mean, to who the matter has been referred to. Do we know when the disciplinary committee will be sitting on this matter?
Well, we don't know exactly when the matter will be called at the disciplinary committee, but what we are learning is that the letter has been served on Mr. Kukwanyido with copies of the petition, the 2 petitions that were brought to the Functional Executive Committee. Indeed, it is expected that he'll consider the 2 petitions, look through them and assess the merit of same and provide responses at the disciplinary committee when the matter is called there. And so we are told that the Functional Executive Committee has found prima facie case on this particular allegation, and that is why it is being referred to the disciplinary committee. So the outcome of that meeting, though we don't know exactly when it will be held, will determine whether or not Kukwanyido, who is also the former Deputy General Secretary of the party,
remains a member of the NDC or not.
NDC or not.
Manuel Kranting is my colleague, Joy News reporter. Now, residents of Sokode traditional area in the whole municipality of the Volta region are lamenting the lack of supply from the Ghana Water Company. The residents say they're compelled to rely on water from streams, dams, and wells for domestic use. According to them, the development impedes their quest to abide by the COVID-19 preventing measures of frequent hand washing and the clean running water. Assembly member for Sokode, Mark Billions Bansa Dixon, therefore appeals to the government and the management of the Ghana Water Company to rectify the problem in earnest.
The Sokode traditional area in the whole municipality comprises 5 divisions which harbors about 40,000 residents. Though they are connected to the national water grid, their taps hardly flow. The peri-urban area has been bearing the brunt of lack of water supply from the Ghana Water Company for over 5 months. This has compelled them to rely on wells, dams, and other water bodies for domestic use. We have been enduring the lack of water supply for the past 5 months. Our children are suffering. We only get water when it rains. We are being educated to frequently wash our hands, but where do we get water to wash our hands? We are pleading with the government to ensure Sokode is supplied with water frequently. The development is affecting the academic activities of students who spend hours at the roadside fetching water. It also puts their lives at risk as children as young as 7 years old engage in fetching water from these wells, which are over 40 feet deep.
Sometimes we need water to bath to our school, so because of water availability, it's not available. We have to get late to the school.
We previously fetched water at dawn, but the law has been changed because they say children are going to the well side. They now open the well at 6 a.m. and close it at 6 p.m. This is affecting those who engage in economic activities outside the community. The well is mostly closed before we get back home. The residents are marveled by the inability of the Ghana Water Company to rectify the problem and supply their communities with potable water. They fear continued reliance on these water bodies might affect their well-being if the government continue to look on unconcerned. The assembly member for the Sokode Bogame electoral area, Mark Billions Bansa Dixon, indicated that several attempts to engage the authorities to resolve the challenge proved futile.
There's this pump at Peve that serves the entire municipality, as in whole municipality. But I learned from 1993, since the pump was commissioned, the pump has never received a facelift. So 28 years down the lane, it is the same old pump that is serving the municipality. But you bear with me that 28 years ago, the demographics within whole municipality is not cannot be compared to the very demographics we have in 2021. So it means population size has increased, there's pressure on the pump.
The residents are, however, hoping the authorities would listen to their plea and come to their aid within the shortest possible time. Fred Kwame Asari, Joy News, Sokode.
Illegal miners have taken over the farming village of Kweu Banka in the eastern region, digging trenches indiscriminately for gold. Homes and backyard gardens are now preferred grounds after gaining little from mining farmlands and bushes. Though some community members are worried about the development, many landowners are giving out their lands for the purpose. Nanaya Ojima visited the area and has come through with this report.
Martha Bedu harvests cassava from her farm to feed her family. Until she gave part of this land to illegal miners, it catered for all food needs of the family. The entry to the farm where illegal miners once operated is reclaimed, awaiting revegetation. Bedu made just 1,400 cedis from their farm, an amount the miners claim is 1/3 of their earnings.
The total amount they got wasn't revealed to me. All I saw was the gold they dug daily. They were in small quantities. Sometimes they gave me 30 cedis, claiming that was my cut for the day.
In the middle of Banka, a cocoa farm of about 2 acres is being destroyed by these miners. Here, the miners with pickaxe and shovel dig trenches of about 4 to 6 feet in search of gold. Few meters from the cocoa farm, the owner of this house gave out his backyard after ostensibly negotiating a 10,000 cedi offer. Nana Koto is a unit committee member in the local area.
They realized there was a lot of gold in the homes after prospecting for it. They paid huge money, convincing the landowners to willingly offer their land.
Yes.
The traditional authority warned against that, but no one listened.
I'm standing in one of the trenches dug by these illegal miners, and this place, according to the people, used to be a backyard garden. But for want of money, the owner of this garden decided to give this place to the miners. Beyond the obvious food security threats, there are other dangers stirring. Nana Koto again.
Now they are refusing to cover the pits. They want the landowners to do that contrary to the agreement made. When the rain sets in, it will gather water and breed mosquitoes.
Many indigents of Kwao Banka have abandoned farming for illegal mining, which was once a preserve of visitors. From Kwao Banka in the eastern region, for Joy News, Nana Yaojima reporting.
I'm back here in the studio in Accra. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Comedian Benson Owusu-Boateng, popularly known as Funny Face, has been released after he was arrested by the Kaswa Millennium City Police for unlawful discharge of firearms. The comedian is alleged to have engaged in a fight with a drinking bar operator. Richard Kwejonya has more in the following report.
Currently at the police station, comedian Benson Owusu-Boateng, popularly known as Funny Face, has been arrested by the police. He's been arrested in connection with the discharge of firearms. He is alleged to have gone to a drinking pub and then had some altercation with the bar operator. It resulted in some scuffle, and later what people heard was some gunshots. The police have arrested him, detained him, and he is due to be given bail later today. DSP Irene Upon, the police public relations officer for the Central Region, has been given details.
There was a complaint from another person in the community who operates a bar that Funny Face came to the bar. There was a misunderstanding, and then after a fight, he went and came back, and with a pump action gun, he came and gave warning shots at his spot. Currently, Funny Face is in the custody of police, but he will be granted bail today. And the drinking spot operator is also in the custody of police, and we are investigating him for assault. This morning, the police command took the suspects to the hospital for treatment because he also reported case of assault against the bar operator. So he has been sent to the hospital and he has been given treatment. That is why we are giving him bail today for him to be reporting, to protect life and property. And by detention, it's not only for only investigations to go on, but then if we see that the life of the person is also not safe out there, we also detain to continue with investigations. When police went in to effect the arrest, yes, he was violent, but then when he was brought in, we were able to keep him under control. That is why today we have been able to send him to hospital.
So he discharged the firearm right there when the incident happened, or he went home and then brought the pump action gun?
From the complaint that we had, from the initial complaints that was reported, the incident happened at the spot and they were separated. So he went home and then came back with the pump action gun to give the warning shots.
So finally, what do you have in your custody? The discharge of the firearm. Do you now have the gun in your possession? Have you retrieved it from him?
We have retrieved the pump action gun, and we are investigating also to know if it's a registered one, and if it's registered, is it in the name of the suspect. And again, we have also collected some exhibits from the scene of crime. That is also helping us with our investigation.
We're live on Joy News Prime. We take a break. We'll bring you the second part of business with Gifty and Rapia.
Hello there, welcome again to the business segment here on Joy News Prime. Let's talk a little bit more about vegetable production. Now, the irony is that there are vegetable farmers who have potential to produce in commercial quantities but lack support. I want us to watch this report filed by my colleague Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin from the Northeast region.
The farmers, mostly from Kwarugu, say they are beginning to reap good returns from onion cultivation after having tried other crops like watermelon. Their income levels have increased, but cases of pests and their inability to acquire fertilizer remain a challenge.
The mushmamene pompoa fertilizer ni bunama de modoro alwasama de doronya Zuzuya yebeni and the tepumen beni. Abonsiele beni ya miswa.
Fertilizer and pesticide are what we need now. Because our vegetables are being attacked by pests, we want help to boost production.
Fertilizer la yarma yetu yasiri enyaka albasama welgira. Ama ti lati ma yebeni kabapom le kulembai. Inyaka bunshi kam karivira ma bumburin kane kabaye mbur sulmitinga karipati na katubur karibuningi
ka sungsin da bani shokenan sunti de nyanga tiyo te bor tamadama nkinan bore bumbura ma mamanga nkur kaman tosi halil bumbura ma bune agrik bumbura nda violent ti to butonyer agrik bumbura.
We want support from anyone so that we can pay back after harvesting the farm produce. We would love to also have improved seeds from government or any organization because our seeds don't give us the required yield. We would also be grateful if water pumps are supplied to us to make our farming easier. Our lands are very fertile for crop cultivation.
Ni tum lala tuma intonya lala tangbano ma kwa iku gibulga bila hal machines abaye kizan tum bulgmani ya nangni.
The farmers usually plant maize in the rainy season and switch to vegetables in the dry season to keep them active. They want government support to help them expand their farms.
Initiative that is being undertaken by the farmers in this area, and government should be looking at incorporating this as part of the planting for food and jobs, because this is an adventure that can improve on their livelihoods and improve income of households. You see, the land is vast and there's a potential for even local market and even for exports. And all they need is the support. As you can see, there are dangers that they are exposed to and challenges that they are exposed to, and we expect that the relevant organizations, government, and all other stakeholders should come on board to support them in order that we can improve their living standards income, and even education, because once they have money, they can be able to send their ward to school. You can see that all those who are here have families they take care of, and it is through this diversification that they are able to put food on the table for their families.
And look, there are several of such vast lands in the northern part of Ghana that is screaming for investment over there. Away from that, about 70% of buildings are constructed without the input of architects or building technologists. That's according to the Vice President of the Ghana Institute of Architects, Foster Osai Akono. He emphasizes that some buildings are structured without considering the health and safety of the occupants. He spoke with Mildred Dodo.
I think things are done, let's say about 70% of the developments are not controlled. 70% of the buildings, I should say, when there was disaster, let's say there was fire, for instance, it will become very difficult to evacuate the buildings, the people from that building. Even when they have been evacuated, where do they assemble and count it? Okay, typical is this building. I'm sure when you were coming here, you struggled for parking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So, a lot of things in terms of health and safety of the occupants are not being considered. And it is because professionals, more often than not, are not used. And where they are even used, because of what the clients may term the cost aspect, they want to limit their services. And then when it comes to enforcement of the construction process too, the assembly do not have the capacity to do regular enforcement, because what they have to do is at each stage of the construction process, they have to approve or sign off before you can go on.
Architect Osai Akono there in that interview with Mildred Dodo. Now, more than 100 women entrepreneurs in the informal sector have received training in modern ways of doing business to boost their economic fortunes. The mentorship initiative is meant to empower the women with the skill set to enable growth and expand their business operations. The one-year mentorship program was spearheaded by Sinapiaba Savings and Loans for its vulnerable clients amidst the coronavirus impact on businesses. Prince Apia has more in this report.
Between 75 and 80% of clients of savings and loans institutions are often women in the informal sector. Businesses of these women in the informal sector have been identified to be facing many business challenges that affect their growth. Mrs. Theodosia Jackson is board member of Sinapiaba Savings and Loans.
I'm talking about the majority of women who are roasting plantains, selling tomato and other things in the market. They are doing miniature jobs and they are not successful because, one, they don't plan. If someone is selling tomato, quickly the next day you see so many people selling tomato at the same vicinity. The capital they even have, they misuse the capital in buying funeral clothing. So we have brought them here to train them to be disciplined.
The initiative, dubbed Women Mentorship Program, is expected to improve the productivity of existing businesses. The mentorship program adopted the peer-to-peer methodology where Joyce Owusudabo is the Chief Programs Officer.
The target is to focus on SME women entrepreneurs to build their capacities to acquire the needed knowledge and also acquire the skill sets that they need to help invest that skills in their businesses to help them sustain their business first of all and then to grow it. We want to use these women as a channel of employment creation for the nation. So we believe that as they grow their business, then they are able to also employ others and give them support to also impact their community.
They are women startups drawn from 12 out of the 44 branches of the company across the country. Mrs. Usudabo also revealed the women will receive interest-free loans to be injected into their businesses.
I must say that throughout the period, you will see a lot of improvement in the skills acquired by the women. They've been very innovative, and when you go into their businesses, you can see the change that had happened in their businesses. Some keeping books, the way they relate to their customers, the way they even recruit. We expect that the women mentors whom we've trained, as well as the mentees, would be able to invest the knowledge and the skills that they've acquired from this mentorship program into their business.
Here are some of the beneficiaries of the program.
Through the program, I was able to meet a mentor who introduced me into making of sanitizers and liquid soap. So now I have an addition business to the one that I'm already into.
Ultimately, the strategy is to help these women to make informed decisions about their businesses with the ultimate goal of empowering them.
And that'll be all for now. There is more news at myjoyonline.com. My name is Gifty Ando Apia, but Reku Ampopo is still here with some more sports. Many thanks for your time. You have a good evening.
Hello, good evening and welcome to the second part of the sports segment with me, Reku Ampopo. We start off with our first story where the Ghana Football Association is urging clubs to contact the Ghana Police Service to ensure that COVID-19 protocols are well observed in huge games. Now, Joy Sports Haruna Mubarak has more in the following report.
The flouting of the COVID-19 protocols has been blatant, especially in big games, namely the Manchester Derby between Hearts of Oak and Great Olympics, Mediama Sporting Club's 1-0 win over Accra Hearts of Oak, and Karola United's loss to Asante Kotoko in Anyenase. The above games show that clubs are finding it difficult to control the number of supporters who troop into match venues and also to enforce the observation of COVID-19 protocols. Henry is urging clubs to collaborate with the Ghana Police Service to ensure the adherence of the protocols.
Your responsibility is to write to the police unit and request for police personnel on match days. Now, the first thing you have to do is to submit a copy of the fixtures for the whole year. So in our situation, for instance, we have category A matches, we have category B matches, and then category C matches. These things are known to the clubs. I mean, I don't want to believe that a club like Mediama does not know the category A games that they have. They know that when they play Kotoko, it's a category A game. When they play House of Oak, it's a category A game. When they play Dreams FC, it is not a category A game. So mostly, the police personnel that we normally request for differ. They don't, I mean, you cannot request for 13 police officers for a game between maybe Dreams FC and Ashanti Gold, and request for 13 police officers for a game between Ashanti Gold and Asante Kotoko, because the two differ. They are not the same. The expectation, the pedigree, the euphoria, the hunger, and everything that go into such big games differ from an inter-allies Dreams FC match.
After week 13 of the Ghana Premier League, Asante Kotoko lead the pack with 23 points. Karola United are in second with 22 points. Bechemu United, Great Olympics, and Ediana Stars complete the top 5. Brekum Chelsea, King Faisal, and Inter-Allies are languishing at the bottom of the table.
Let's do some tennis now, where Samuel Entry has emerged winner of the national ranking finals after beating Japet Bagabese, and Tracy Amper was also the winner of the Ladies Challenger Series after beating Annette. Nasari Bidiako has more in the following report.
Tracy was unstoppable in the grand finale, outclassing Annette in 2 hours and 15 minutes. Annette led 6-5 in the first set, only for Tracy to raise her game to level up and win the tie break. Annette started to get herself a bit more into the match early in the second set with a break and won the set 6-4. But the 13-year-old showed strength and character in the decider to secure her second professional title. Tracy is now number 2 in the GTF rankings with 310 points, equaling the number 1 ranked player Now Macaulay's points. In the men's 2021 National Ranking Tour Final 1, Samuel Entry beat Jafet Bakabase. He won 6-3, 3-6, 4-1 in 3 hours and 10 minutes.
How is the feeling like? It feels great to be back on the winning ways and then to win a national trophy at this moment of my career, because it's been quite a tough year, tough couple of years for me, 2 years now. I have not been able to win a national trophy since I last won it in 2018 September, 28 September. So winning it today makes me feel happy, and I'm very, very delighted to have won this trophy.
President of the Ghana Tennis Federation, Isaac Abuajidia, is already looking forward to the next tournament.
For the first time, Ghana will play in the Billie Jean Cup, which is the former Fed Cup, and also playing again in the Davis Cup. So both competitions are very important. There are talents abound in Ghana. Some are here and some are abroad. And it's the type of technical committee who are going to come out very soon with the modalities and what the criteria will be to select them. So these are some of the preparatory matches that they would use as a step to identify the talents, both the men and then the women. So it's good. We are all watching. We're also monitoring the players who are abroad. At the right time, we'll see who are the best fits to represent Ghana in the Davis Cup for men and then the Billie Jean Cup for the women.
Now, before we go, just a quick update on FA Cup action, where Manchester United are currently being held to a 0-0 draw against West Ham in the 5th round of the FA Cup. But that's how we wrap up the sport here. My name is Oreko Wampofo. The news continues right after this.
And as we wrap up Joy News Prime tonight, my name is Aisha Ibrahim. Many thanks for watching. For more news, log on to myjournline.com. You get all the updates there. For now, PM Express is up next. Tonight, we're sharing experiences of survivors with Evans Mensah taking the lead. If you thought that COVID-19 is not real, just listen to these experiences. You may change your position on COVID-19. Stay tuned in. Evans Mensah comes up with PM Express.